Yeah, I'll tell you what, this guy now is Scottish
Yeah, 1
chef.
minute, if you come to the house, you can pick me up.
He's doing, he may be at
Yeah, go
work.
get some coffee after whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so I.
He doesn't fit the mold of like a perfect robotic swing. His feet are moving.
Starving.
I wasn't going to
He
eat.
just learns better than
February is when I started to look at
Yeah, it's just, it's, that's why I just like, see, I see, I like the atmosphere, you're not, it's not about the score, I don't care what's on it. I mean, it's just like those cherries and score, but sometimes it's all good when you get back into it. That's why I'd rather just keep
Oh, you're fixing us.
Okay, we're all set, we're not symmetrical.
And they've done it.
It won't be sure who I am. I can be either.
Turn for somebody else, but all of us tonight.
This is almost as busy as it was when they had it was like awesome. No, I liked it. It was down. I'm sorry. Hundreds and hundreds of people.
To another firm that he has. They're all. Apparently starts the next the following week, so.
We have a meeting.
So they just kind of like sat down at.
He did not go to the They're based in Florida.
He is too.
Yeah,
But
they're,
him and I heard me one.
like they do, they have a lot of offices out of state. Same sort of thing, yeah, it's all consulting, civil consulting, yeah. Small, decent sized plants. Yeah, same thing.
But I think when it's most of rural, it's under like my ear. He's like, he's gonna be 88 or he just said he couldn't do it. They're gonna change, so.
Oh, see? Gatekeeper of the basketball.
Yeah, I don't know what inside out, that's a lot.
No, you gotta memorize the young ladies. Tell me pages, right?
Usually it is.
Seven.
I did
I
on
remember.
Tuesday, I was in and my alone.
I think it started at like when I started at like
9:45.
Actually, I think it's less.
Actually, I had a feeling it wasn't. And my phone is like going off in the jury box. And the judge is here.
Yes.
Looking back, I'm like, yeah, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So that was a good.
So one of the things that my 14-year-old showed me, because people like me don't really know the full scope of what you can do, he showed me how to put silence mode for just spam calls. Like, numbers you don't recognize the number, you just send it right to voicemail.
How do you do that?
You have to go into settings.
Well, maybe not after
You
hours.
have to go into settings to reopen it down to apps.
We didn't find a special land use on for.
All right, it is 6:30. I call to order the City Planning Commission, Lapeer City Planning Commission, I'm sorry about that. Roll call, Kim, you got roll call?
Full house.
Full, it is at full house, yes. Just realized that. All right, in front of you is, well, we have approval for the June 12th, 2025 agenda. Do I hear a motion, or do I hear,
I'll move the agenda.
we got a move and a motion, do we support?
I'll support.
And we got support, any discussion? All those in favor with aye? Aye. All those opposed, seeing none, motion carries. In front of you are the minutes held from May 8th of 2025.
I'll move those minutes.
We have a motion or a move. Any support on that?
Support.
We have, and support on there. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote with an aye or a nay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. All right, right now is public comments. We'll open up the floor if you do address the commission. I guess I have a public comment, would be more about, it was brought to my attention that we might not be following Robert's rules pretty we're not doing anything wrong, but we're not doing it right-ish, and it goes towards discussion on motions that are in front of us for voting. So per Robert's rule is the discussion is opened up after the motion is made, not before the motion is made. This obviously alleviates a few things, but more especially a conversation that might go off-center or whatnot. I guess it's my feeling that maybe we should probably go towards maybe doing it right. I know there's going to be a little bit of confusion in the beginning of it just because of the way that a description, if we're asking Mr. Keller questions before a motion is on there, that's essentially where it goes. So it kind of diverts it all the way to the planners. Well, you're directing us essentially. So I guess that would be my, as the chair of this, I guess that would be my order that I would like to take these meetings. And those are for voting subjects, correct? On voting matters.
Yeah.
And Mr. Keller, you're shaking your head saying that's pretty much right.
Yeah, got it right.
Good deal.
Yeah, I just caution, we have lots, a lot of times if the motion is made first, and then we have lots of discussion and lots of kind of this pinball, as I like to think, right? So the planner goes, and then the planning commission goes, and then we hear from the applicant a little bit. I think sometimes we'd be then going back and kind of retracting that first motion that's made, and I don't necessarily know if that's bad, but it's maybe not as clear as the way that we do it now, where we have our time, we go through applicant, planner, and planning commission, and then you all kind of work together, and then somebody brings up a motion. So I would think one question to ask is, can we think of too many experiences in the recent past when that would have solved something that ended up happening? In my experience of these planning commission meetings, that pinball time is pretty productive, and then we arrive at the suggested motion, from there. So I would say, what's most important is us doing the business of the planning commission, is having that deliberation and then coming to a motion that we all agree on, and then maybe Robert's Rules of Order in that case would kind of come second to that, is my thought.
Okay.
Mr. Chair? may I?
Yes.
So I don't see any problem with how we do the planning commission as we have been. It's almost identical to how we did it in my previous community. And for similar reasons that Mr. Keller has elucidated, and that is, the explanation of the situation is, should be preceding the motions, right? And you shouldn't be making any decisions exactly during that time, but you are learning and discussing, right? And frankly, I'm more about fundamental fairness, because that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to provide a fair atmosphere both for the applicants and for the board members to discuss these items. I'm with Mr. Keller that fundamental fairness, I think, takes precedent over strict adherence to parliamentary procedure. So while parliamentary procedure, which no board does exactly right, is appropriate from a guidance perspective, I think we've been doing things fine all along. So I would recommend no serious change at this point.
Okay. And that's exactly why I wanted to have this discussion right here.
But obviously, the board should be consulted.
Yep, so if anybody else has any other, I guess I will open this up to a discussion on the board on how we perceive these meetings, if anybody has any more input.
Just a comment. I don't think that in the recent time that I've been here, maybe hasn't been a huge problem the way that it's been done. But there have been a couple of times where either a motion was made and there was some confusion, like, wait, we're moving forward on this, and we had to backtrack a little bit, or discussion was had not understanding the direction that the board was trying to go with it, or where Alex was trying to take us, where there's always in the packet a suggestion, right, of that the city has looked over things and recommends a way that we would proceed, right? So unless there is a disagreement or other evidence or other thoughts that come up after the motion in the discussion, then we would be proceeding according to the recommendation based on the ordinance, if that makes sense. So I think, I mean, it works either way. My thought is just, I don't want anyone to feel like they don't understand what's going on, they don't understand what's on the table, or that we're rushing into a vote. Because the one time that I'm thinking of, a motion was made and it was just misunderstood, like, what are we voting on now? And so that's just my thought, to slow it down. We all know what the motion is, then we have the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for your input.
I'm kind of in the middle, like,
That's-
either way. It does seem like we do make some changes, which might be a little confusing at the tail end, but I think either way it gets you to
Yes, I agree.
the end goal.
I think both ways will get us to the end goal. I just know that in anybody that sits on this board, I'm sure you've watched other communities or been a part of other communities' commission. They kind of do it the way that we've been doing it. And then I was just addressing something, and that's why the open conversation was what I wanted to have with our board on the direction we wanted to go. So I guess we can pretty much by the nods, planners probably know this too, we could probably keep it similar to what it is, and maybe if we get off direction, somebody can nudge us and say, hey, you know, let's get back over here. That should be my job, I'm sorry, that should be my job, let's stick to the focus on the subject. Cool? Good deal?
If there's a question on what the motion on the floor is, I can always, that's my job to recite it.
Yep.
And it is kind of incumbent on the person who doesn't understand or needs clarification to speak up. You know, we're not on this board to be shrinking violets. We're here to, you know, do what's right for the community. So if you don't hear, you don't understand, it's on you to ask.
Okay. Any more public comments before us? Not seeing none, I will close public comments. And move to our public hearings that are scheduled, and we have none, but we do have a site plan review from Telco HUD at 123 Net on Davison Road. Mr. Keller, take it away, and nice to meet you, sorry about that.
Yeah, nice to meet those of you who I have not met before. My name is Ben Keller. I'm a planner 2 at Rowe Professional Services. I'm here with my coworker Amy Bontempo tonight. She's our senior planner and team lead. Alex is no longer with Rowe, we're sorry to say. His last day was last Friday. So for the time being, I have taken over our duties in the city of Lapeer, so I'm here for office hours 2 days a week. I'm gonna help to lead all of our ZBA and planning commission meetings, work with Mike on some special projects, and then use the assistance of Amy and the rest of our team at Rowe to kind of deal with things that are maybe outside of the realm of my experience. So I've been a planner for about 3 years at Rowe, and as you guys know, about all of that time, I've had experience with the city of Lapeer. So one of my first planning commission meeting experiences was about 3 years ago with Caitlin, when we had Adam and Eve come in and had some pretty hairy public hearings for special land use. So I've been to a lot of planning commission meetings, I've presented at a lot of planning commission and zoning board of appeals, and now I'm kind of happy to step into this role for you all. So I hope I do a good job, but more than anything, I want to make sure that I'm serving your needs. Right, so I'm going to pass out my card to all of you at the end of the meeting tonight, and I want you to use it. I want you to contact me, talk to me about how the planning commission meeting went. Maybe if I fumbled a presentation a little bit, or you thought I should have taken something in a different way, I'd love to hear that feedback, and I want to do my best to service your all needs. So,
Thank you, Mr. Keller.
very good.
Appreciate that.
Yep. So tonight, we've got a site plan review for a Telco HUD, 200 square foot communication shelter structure. And this site plan is on a parcel that's located along Davison Road. It does not have an address. So I've got the parcel ID there, and we'll see the location a little bit better on these incoming maps. So here is the parcel, little sliver right there along Davison Road. Sorry, I'm forgetting what that cross street is right there. Can't see it. Yep, Hampshire, near Lake Nipissing. Lots of undeveloped land in this area. So it's lots of residential zoning, but very undeveloped land. So we go ahead, we can see the zoning. So this specific parcel in the site plan tonight is R3. And then we've got some R2 and R1 also kind of surrounding this area. But like I said, and as you saw that last time, all of this here is still undeveloped next door to that subject parcel. Here we have the existing site from Google Images, undeveloped land, vacant woodlot, and little triangle right here on the corner is our subject parcel. So here's our site plan tonight for this Telco hut structure. So right here in the center is that 200 square foot communication shelter structure. And then just to the west, they've got a pretty large generator proposed. Here you can see two different surfaces denoted. So down here coming off of Davison Road, the applicant proposes a concrete surface. And then here kind of inside the primary building area, you can see a gravel surface, and so they call that the gravel parking area, but then they've got this hard surface material right here. Additionally, you can see a fair amount of landscaping here on site to meet our standards, and then they propose a screening fence around all four sides of this primary site area. However, on the south and the west sides, they propose a privacy picket fence. And then up here on the north and on the east sides, they propose a chain link fence. Chain link is prohibited for required fences. So this is a required fencing. This is what the applicant has chosen as their method of screening for this use. All sides of this communication parcel structure, all sides need to be screened from public view. So they've elected to use a fence with privacy features inside of that fence to satisfy that. So that's a required fence. So this inclusion of chain link here on the north and the east edges will be talked about a little bit more in our review, but that is a prohibited fence material. Elevations, some little bit more idea of what's going on this structure. So this is a prefabricated fiber hut. Will make a lot of sense when I go to this next image. I'm sure you all have seen these before. This image that I pulled off of Google Images seems to be very similar to what we're looking at here tonight. These are air conditioning units that are attached to the structure. I assume that those are for cooling the building, cooling down whatever is going on inside of that structure. And then we've got the large generator offset just ever so slightly, and that's exactly how we see it here on this site plan, right? There's the generator, here's the structure, and then you can see the screening encompasses all of the activity here on that area of the site.
Mr. Keller, may I interrupt you?
Yeah,
for a second?
absolutely.
So you're saying you pulled that image off of Google for us.
Mhm.
And I know you weren't you're not the planner who started this project, but is there a reason we can't just say to the people submitting these, hey, you should be sending us this stuff?
So this is pretty much compliant with our ordinance. The real reason why I pulled that off is this prefabricated fiber hut. They call it out all over these elevation sheets. So you can see at other aspects of this elevation sheet, they're a lot more clear in what they're proposing. They call it a precast concrete, piece of siding, or they call out the air conditioning unit. But this prefabricated fiber hut, there were no details in the site plan submittal. So I agree, we should have asked them a little bit more to maybe give us a photo of an example or a colored rendering that would have led us a little bit more closer to what's being proposed.
Because as you well know, from a legal liability standpoint, if they're gonna submit something to us,
Mhm.
they're telling us what they're gonna do, versus you assuming
Absolutely.
what they're gonna do.
Yeah. Maybe we'll hear from the applicant and see if they can confirm or deny if this is close, but I agree, Mike. So our outstanding zoning compliance issues going through this site plan. Two informational requirements that were outstanding: sidewalks and paths, and then the lighting plan. So with sidewalks, none are shown or proposed on the site plan. And while this site is zoned residential, there are no existing sidewalks near the subject parcel, as we saw on those aerial images. And then the lighting plan for the site, there's no mention of any proposed site lighting. However, it does not appear site lighting is necessary. So as you all know, these informational requirements may be waived by the Planning Commission. All informational requirements may be waived as you see fit. So now we jump into the true zoning compliance standards, and these are all standards that absolutely must be addressed by the applicant before a full approval may be issued. So multiple sections of the zoning ordinance are outstanding because the site plan is lacking existing and proposed site topography and drainage details. The building appearance of that prefabricated fiber hut. So the primary building material is proposed to be prefabricated fiber hut as it's called out on those site plan sheets. This does not appear to comply with the zoning ordinance for our building materials section that discusses primary building materials. The Planning Commission could discuss a waiver possibility for this requirement as the site does not appear to be planned for occupancy. So when Kim and I were doing some prep today for this site plan, we looked back at that DTE Apollo substation that we worked on, I believe it was early in '24. And this is kind of how we did it for that one, right? We talked to the applicant and we discussed, what are the needs of that structure on site? Is it truly planned for some consistent occupancy, or will that structure really only be used by humans, once or twice a month or a handful of times a month? That does not meet the definition of occupancy of a structure. So our expectation here from the applicant tonight is that the structure is planned for very little time for anyone to be inside of the structure. Same kind of thing goes for the waste receptacle zoning compliance point. So no waste receptacle is proposed on site, and the Planning Commission could discuss this as a waiver possibility as the site does not appear to be planned for occupancy. Mechanical equipment, here we go with that chain link fence. So the structure and generator area on site are required to be screened on all sides. Privacy fencing is a permitted method of screening. Chain link fencing with privacy screens is proposed along the north and east sides of the structure on site. And as I already have said a few times, chain link is a prohibited, required fencing material. And one more here. The proposed gravel parking area on site is not permitted. All parking areas and drives are required to be hard surfaced, and if you'll remember that DTE Apollo substation case, one of the conditions of approval was that the applicant go and seek a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, as our requirement here is that all parking areas must be hard surfaced in the city of Lapeer. So they requested for gravel parking at the DTE substation. We made them go and get a variance, so that is not one that we can have a waiver for. That one has to be addressed either through a variance or with the applicant updating their site plan to show a hard surface material in the rest of the parking area. As I pointed out there, they've already got the concrete coming off of Davison Road, the ingress-egress point, but then once you enter the site, enter the building area, then there's gravel proposed. Other departmental reviews, really nothing of note except for engineering. There are 3 outstanding comments related to site grading and drainage. As we all know, these site plan standards of approval do not change. Section 7-1804. I've seen these many times. Page 2 of them. And then our staff recommendation tonight. Staff recommends approval of the site plan with the following conditions. The applicant must satisfy all outstanding zoning and engineering compliance items. And in doing so, the applicant must decide, applicant must either, number 1, seek a variance for the gravel surface, or number 2, install hard surfaced parking area for the vehicle parking area on site. Well, happy to answer any questions you all may have for that site plan review.
Thank you, Mr. Geller. We get any questions? I know the applicant appears to be here, but you do have a question, Mr.
I have a question based upon your recommendation. So what does that mean in regards to fencing?
So for the fencing, just pop back to that.
You stole my question.
Yeah, it's actually
So for fencing, that blanket must come into all compliance with the zoning ordinance means that they have to move away from the chain link and go to either match the other sides that picket fence or choose a different type of screening or something like that.
All right,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Yep.
Gotcha, Mayor. Any more questions? I think applicant, if you want to, you can address the board if you would like.
I'm Rob Andrzejewski, permit manager with 123, and I was here 2 months ago
Yes.
with you as well to present this. So thank you for having us back again to present this. One of the questions I think you had asked was the occupancy of it. Maybe once or twice a year we'll be back at this. If you guys have ever looked inside the IT closets here, it's going to be racks inside there, and it would be minimal access once it's up and going. The first to get going with it, we'll be there for quite some bit through construction and getting it set up, but once it's fully functional, it would be maybe once or twice you would access it.
Once or twice a year, or?
Once or twice a year, correct?
A year.
Yeah. So we're also the generator in factor, that will be an 18 kilowatt Generac residential generator back in there, not a diesel back in there as well, but the image that you did show is correct. I do apologize, I know we had a lot of work back and forth with Alex in the past with this, and he also spoke with our architect, Andy from MGA Architects as well too, so thank you for taking this on and working with us for it. But that, if there's anything we can do to satisfy and get these revised, that's not a problem.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So are you saying that it's being proposed as a fiber board building of some kind, not as a concrete or metal type of building?
It will be. It's a precast concrete 10 by 20 structure, then inside of that would be the racks.
Okay, so the exterior material is concrete of some kind?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And we do, we have about 3 or 4 of them existing that I can get pictures sent in to you guys
Please.
as well. Our closest one, I think, to you would be, I think, Port Huron Township, I think, is not too far from here. That's our closest one, and our next one is the Fowlerville, that's kind of up and coming, ready to go.
Okay. Address the gravel. Has that been approached to you or been mentioned to you about the gravel?
Not yet, no. We, I believe I don't know what the conversation ensued between Andy and Alex, but that was a topic of discussion, I know, but we are not opposed to looking at concrete. We prefer gravel if possible.
I get you.
but-
I got you. Okay. Anything more for the board?
Nothing.
Any questions for the applicant? Sorry. All right. You guys, it's the board's flavor. Thank you very much for.
Thank you all.
Yes, for the discussion.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I did want to say one last thing. We did also buy the 2 properties next to it. The 2 next properties we bought as well too. Or 1, 2, 3.
Could you speak to the fencing a little bit?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
In that
Oh,
shape?
yes,
So the
the
spacing.
fencing is, that's no problem. We will do
Okay.
whatever we
Okay.
see fit. I believe we proposed chain link because we figured we owned the 2 properties next door. It wouldn't be an issue, but that's no problem.
Make sure.
Change it to fit.
Okay.
They need to get a waiver.
Mr. Keller, is there a setback requirement that they are not meeting without those other 2 properties?
Let's double check. I do not believe so. I believe they show the buildable area here on the site plan. Yeah, they sure do. So it is a triangular lot, which is a little bit more challenging to plan out your setbacks a little bit, but here we can see the front yard setback. Let's see if I can follow
I
that.
assume he means those 2 properties to the right.
Yeah,
hand
this
side.
one.
Yeah, to the, I believe it would be the
So the reason I'm asking is because normally you would require a combination of those properties so that you can't, sell them off to someone else if it doesn't meet the setbacks. But Mr. Keller, if you're saying it meets the setbacks, then we shouldn't have to require it. It's nice that you bought those, but not required to.
Correct. It was a package deal, from what I was told. We had to buy all 3.
Good.
Okay.
I'm just thinking from a setback.
Yeah, I apologize that I might have missed that. I should double check that. I didn't, most of this review was completed by Alex, and then I just kind of threw together this PowerPoint, but I'll double check that, make sure they're good on setbacks.
Commissioner Paz?
Yeah, just, would 1, 2, 3 be adverse to applying with our assessing office for an address?
Oh, not at all. We do plan on it. We will need that address for electric there. And gas as
Forgot
well
about
too.
that, where
Plan on it.
utilities have to have address. All right. Are you guys bored?
Mr. Keller, can you put up the proposed motion on the?
Yeah, that's
I guess I would move to approve the proposed use. Applicant must satisfy all outstanding zoning and engineering compliance items. Applicant must either seek a variance for gravel surface or install a curved surface for vehicle parking.
We gotta talk about those 2 potential waivers.
Okay, I guess, are we not okay with them having one or the other?
Bounce back to it real quick. Since we heard that there's no occupancy, in the structures, that they're only gonna be out there 2 or 3 times a year,
Oh,
I don't see any problem
forgot about
with,
those ones.
granting these 2 waivers, one for building appearance and then one for waste receptacles. So the one for building appearance, we would basically say this structure is exempt from complying with this one. And I guess we could make that same kind of thing for 71506, that this structure is exempt from complying with these 2 standards because the structure is not planned for consistent occupancy.
Okay. But you're okay with the gravel surface and hard surface as a variance option?
I think, so the applicant has 2 options to solve that, and I think based on the discussion tonight, they're just gonna comply with our ordinance and maybe do hard surface there
I will
instead of gravel.
definitely bring that
Okay.
back to our leadership.
Great.
I guess I'm okay either way, whether it's gravel surface or hard surface, they're called.
Right.
So motion will stand with the no requirement of waste receptacle on site, and that the building as proposed as a concrete exterior surface is acceptable to the board. Anything else?
I don't think so. We need to vote on that waiver.
I think, yeah, because they have to,
It's still like.
they have to seek the
You
variance
also
to
have
get the gravel
to-
surface, I thought, if they
Yes.
want to.
What you said will work.
Okay,
It meets the.
great.
All right, we have a motion on the board, in front of the board.
They have that option.
Any support? And we got support. Any more discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll go to an aye or a nay vote. All those in favor with an aye?
Aye.
All those opposed with a nay? Seeing no nays and all ayes, that motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right. And to our next agenda item is public hearing scheduled. We have none. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I went all the way up. Sorry about that. And then old business. We are specially in land use of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services drive-through at 1022 West Genesee Street.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr.
As you will recall at the previous meeting, I was personally threatened during the meeting, and I feel it's appropriate that I recuse myself from the rest of this discussion.
You may exit.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Keller.
All right. So as we all know, catch everybody up. We went round 1 for this special land use last month. Postponed decision, allow the applicant to give us a little bit more time to supply some information. From what I could gather, all of the information that was requested, that was outstanding from submission 1, was related to kind of vehicle stacking and, where the stacking spaces would fall in thinking about where the loading zone is on site and where the maneuverability of the site is. Remember with this Rite Aid, this former Rite Aid building, you gotta go all the way around the building kind of to get to that drive-through. So I believe those have been addressed, but we'll go over them here, of course. So applicant request. The applicant is requesting to operate an existing drive-through at 1022 Genesee Street. Friendly reminder before we go too far, we have already issued site plan approval for this one, so now we're just talking about a special land use request for the drive-through. So here we have the subject parcel. You guys have probably seen this a lot in the last few months, and we all know it, right on the corner here. Former Rite Aid site. Subject property is zone B1, neighborhood business, within the M24 corridor as well. M24 overlay district, excuse me. Existing site, nice photo of Rite Aid after it was clearly already vacated. And then here we see a photo of that drive-through being used. So you can see that formerly there were 2 active drive-through lanes at this drive-through here at Rite Aid. The applicant is now only proposing to use 1 of those drive-through lanes. We'll see that depicted on their site plan here, a few more slides. And then here you can see a little bit more about that maneuverability throughout the site that I described earlier. Kind of have to drive around the building a little bit. So here we have their updated site plan, also included in your packets. And really, I believe all of the main changes are inside of this bubbled area here from the site plan that we looked at last month. So a little bit more clarity in terms of where the stacking spaces are gonna be located, directly behind the the service window, I'll call it, which is located about right here, and then we've got the 3 required vehicle stacking spaces. We've also got a note on there, I'm just pulling out, got a few highlights on it. Yep, a note right here that discusses remove second drive-through lane delivery system. So only propose to have 1 drive-through lane, and I will make a comment, I'm not sure, I think it might be included. There's 1 letter in your packets from Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. I don't know if it's discussed in that letter or a different letter, but the traffic counts that are proposed for this drive-through are significantly less than the traffic counts that we observed at the Rite Aid beforehand. So I know that there was some conversation about this drive-through kind of impacting traffic. I do not agree with that observation. I do not expect the drive-through to impact the existing flow of traffic in that area. Oh, here we'll course through our special land use approval standards with some findings of fact and our staff comments for each of those standards. So standard A, be compatible and in accordance with the goals, objectives, policies of the Lapeer City Master Plan. So the subject parcel is designated as commercial/general business in the master plan. Reopening this existing drive-through appears to be consistent with master plan goals for this future land use designation. Encouraging business expansion and growth are some goals that are listed for the commercial general business designation in the master plan. And our comment here is that reopening this drive-through lane is commercial in nature and is compatible with the goals, objectives, and policies of the City of Lapeer Master Plan. Standard B, promote the intent of this ordinance and the zoning district in which the use is proposed. So for our findings of fact, the existing building is currently vacant, located in the B1 Neighborhood Business District. The existing building on site has an existing drive-through. The intent of the B1 district is designed to meet the day-to-day convenience, shopping, and service needs of persons residing in adjacent or nearby residential areas. The applicant has indicated that the number of trips per day through this drive-through will be far less than the number of trips per day through the drive-through when occupied by Rite Aid. So our comment on this one, the intent of this drive-through reopening appears to be aiding shopping and service convenience, which will help to further promote the intent of the B1 Neighborhood Business District. Standard C, the special land use will be constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be compatible with existing or intended character of the general vicinity and so as to not change the essential character of the area in which it's proposed. So the parcel is surrounded by residential uses of varying zoning classifications. The building was previously used as a drive-through for a pharmacy. So our comment here, the existing site utilized a drive-through. The proposed site is requesting to reopen this drive-through. It does not appear this reopening will change the essential character of the surrounding area. Standard D, be served adequately by public facilities, traffic, police and fire, drainage, and then water and sewage utilities, and also schools if applicable. So the subject parcel is located along West Genesee Street, I'm sorry, that's a typo, and has the existing utilities that service the subject property. The subject parcel has an existing parking lot, large parking lot, and then the applicant has addressed concerns related to drive-through space stacking or interference with other required aspects of the parking area. As we discussed, that was one of the things that we hit on last month. Left us with a postponement, was kind of revolving around this fact right here, which I believe has been resolved now by the applicant. So the site has existing utilities that will continue to service the subject parcel. The site appears to be adequately served by those public facilities. And as we discussed, the traffic going in there should be decreased compared to the Rite Aid. So standard E, the special land use will not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, or conditions that would be detrimental to natural environment, public health, safety, or welfare by reason of potential nuisances. So currently, the site is a vacant pharmacy with a drive-through. The applicant now meets all zoning compliance standards related to drive-throughs. So the drive-through reopening does not appear to propose any aspects that will be detrimental to the natural environment, public health, or safety and welfare. It is not expected that any new nuisances will be created through the reopening of this drive-through. Or a staff recommendation. It is staff's recommendation that the special land use request for Green Builders Plus on behalf of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for a drive-through located at 1022 West Genesee be approved. The request appears to meet all special land use standards of approval located in section 7/1904 of the zoning ordinance. Happy to answer any further questions you all may have before you make a decision.
Thank you, Mr. Kettler. Pretty straightforward in my opinion. Any discussion or, I'm sorry, any questions for Mr. Kettler? All right. I got no questions either. So, it's in front of us as a board. How would you like to proceed?
Were you gonna make a motion?
Yeah,
Second.
you,
Go ahead.
are you sure you don't wanna make it?
I love it when you talk and I don't.
I make a motion, we approve the special land use request by Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to permit a drive-through at 1022 Genesee Street because the request meets all standards in section 7-19-04 for approval of a special land use.
All right, we have a motion on the board. Is there support?
Support.
And now, is there any more discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those will vote with an aye or a nay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
You're a nay?
Did I say nay?
You
No.
did.
Aye.
So they're all nays?
All ayes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's no nays. Okay.
No, yes. Oh, did I really say nay?
You did.
Oh, wow. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
A lot of pressure in that seat.
I know, right?
Austin.
That was so you see it, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll use that, leave that to my comments. All right, I'm just gonna give a brief second. Can some,
There is public comment.
no, there's not public comments, not right now.
Can I mention something?
Last time that didn't end well.
No, always with me, it's been professional. Just a comment. You know, I mean, thank you for your approval. I mean, obviously, the time that it took to get all this done, we really appreciate it, and obviously the state of Michigan. But the one concern is, this committee had requested to go to the ZBA. When initially, though, it really wasn't required to go to the ZBA. Now, we have, like in about 2 weeks, another hearing to go to the ZBA. I'm wondering, since this committee requested that, if they could request that maybe we don't have to do that, because we've wasted a lot of time already. And, in the B1, like he had mentioned, the state of Michigan attorney mentioned, this is an approved use in that site for the B1 district. So there should be no question about that. So I'm wondering, because we weren't really required initially to go, it was based on the board's request to go. Can this board request that, since that's the case, that we don't have to go and we could cancel this meeting in 2 weeks, save some time
That
and
would
energy
be,
and money?
that would be up to my planner, and I think my planner's gonna advise me on that you can probably hear.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we can go back, now that the motion's already been made, and then we already accepted the meeting minutes here tonight.
Yes.
Maybe if there was a change made before that, maybe, but still, I don't think so. We voted on that motion that then passed at the meeting last month, I don't think we can go back on that.
Those were specific conditions that we included
Mhm.
when we made that motion, so I think that you have to go to the ZBA.
But the
Thank you
ordinance
for
says something else.
thank you for clarification.
Your ordinance says something else. I have 2 letters from 2 attorneys.
So this
saying-
is the time where I'm gonna have to stop. This isn't an open conversation. We answered a question.
no problem.
All right, thank you
I
very much.
appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Though I need to know, we spent $4 million for that property.
That's,
I'm not
again,
getting
this is
1%.
not this is not a public
I just
comment,
wanna
sir.
tell- I
This
wanna
isn't
be on the
public
record,
comments.
That's all.
This is not
Thank
public
you.
comments.
Are we done here?
All right, can we, I was gonna break just for 30 seconds or whatever to go grab, Mr. Molmack. I don't know where he resides.
He's in his office, I'm sure.
I can go get him. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Ring the bell, Josh.
Is he getting him? No, he's not. Okay.
Yeah, great.
just a volunteer. That's not funny.
I like having arguments outside of here too.
Oh, all right. Hey, welcome back, Mr. Womack, City Manager. Now we can go to our next agenda item is other business, building exterior material and color guide review. You might be walking into this little one a little bit late as well, but I think, well, I know you're going to present, but we were on a pretty good, road
It's
there.
the only slide I have.
Good deal. Oh, perfect. There you go. I like it.
Wow.
Actually, you know what? I love it. So we're good.
Because just as you stated, I went back through all of our meetings in 25 and see that it looks like we've had 4 meetings where Alex has maybe presented different pieces of this chapter. So tonight, this is, I'm sorry, not chapter, section. Tonight, this is a comprehensive view of that 7-15-01 building appearance section that has 3 new tables. So we've got one for, call it building designs with arcades, archways, columns, all that fun stuff.
Yes.
And then as you keep moving through, we've got the materials table. And then as you course through to the very end, we've got that colors table. From my pretty detailed review, I tried really hard to get an understanding of what happened in each of the meetings in those last 4 meetings. I believe there's no major policy changes to this chapter. The real changes to this chapter is reformatting. So you'll see throughout here, we've got a handful of strike-through text. In my analysis today, all of these strike-through texts have just been moved to the tables, maybe with some slight changes. I've seen some editing that's gone on in the planning commission meetings, but I hope that this is pretty well buttoned up. But my intent for our discussion tonight was to have kind of a sort of a final discussion, any further comments or edits before we finalize this draft text amendment. Our plan is to kind of package some text amendments. So a natural step for a planning commission would be to set a public hearing on just this one text amendment tonight. However, we recommend that we're gonna kind of go through several more text amendments over the next few months, and then we'll kind of do our public hearings all at the same time, when several of those text amendments are ready to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the way that sounds. What's our thoughts on that? I mean,
So I thought you had said initially that we were going to, on this particular text amendment, we were gonna set up for a public hearing. But you're saying, then you said at the
Yeah.
end that we're gonna wait till we get all the text amendments put out, then we'll have one big public hearing.
I'll say that one more time. So when a
Okay.
community in Michigan works through a text amendment and they get to this point where they're happy with it, a lot of times what would happen at this meeting is we would set a public hearing for just this one
Okay.
text
Okay,
amendment.
I get what you're saying.
But how we're gonna do it is we're gonna finalize
Yes.
3 or 4 or 5 other
Yes.
ones and then do the public hearings at the
Yeah,
same time.
makes sense,
Yeah.
yes, thank you for the
It's
clarification.
pragmatic because we have to put public notices in the paper and it costs a lot of
Yes.
money.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Keller, what are your thoughts on this? So in my previous community, when we would do something like this, we would sometimes send the draft of the proposal to the city commission, just so they see what's coming.
Mhm.
Not ask them to act on it, but maybe put it in their agenda for, I guess a heads up.
Mhm.
Do you see any problems with doing something like that?
I think that's a great idea.
Because of course, they can't really act on it until they receive recommendation from the
Right.
planning commission anyways.
Mhm.
But, as we were discussing at yesterday's meeting, we want to increase the communication between the boards.
Okay.
I just want to say that even though Alex is not here anymore, I really like the visual that this creates because it's better to see the visual than to read the words sometimes.
Mhm.
So he did a good job.
Yeah, he did. Some of these standards were way overly wordy and
Yes.
didn't make sense to even us, the planners, right? There was one in here about predominant building materials and measuring predominant building materials, and these tables do it a lot better than
Yes,
those
they
facility
do.
standards did, so, yeah.
I fully agree with all the above, and I would definitely say that we can move forward on this unless there's somebody has something outstanding in their eyes on here or their thoughts on here that they want to address. I think the 4 meetings that we've gone through this has led us to this situation or this time frame right now.
The only thing I'd highlight is, it looks like we struck out the portion that says quality materials that are characteristic of Michigan, such as earth-toned brick. Do we feel like, pages aren't numbered,
Yeah, the
unfortunately.
pages are numbered. Near the end, well, it's kind of the middle.
I guess, does the board feel like we need to discuss the colors situation, or are we satisfied with where we're at, or where we're going?
I'm completely satisfied.
I think the colors, didn't that kind of go, we had that all towards the different zone, or different zones.
So, another section, a couple pages further on, that's, you know, under building colors, it's pretty much struck out.
But then if you pop over to the table, Mike, I just found we have earth tone for the color table, and then it's earth tone is, all these different specific earth tone colors are still permitted in every district. That was what that's where I'll hark back to, no major policy changes that I found in here, just putting the stuff into tables, but it is a little confusing with the strike-through text. We didn't remove those standards, we just kind of reformatted how they look.
Yep. You happy with that, Mike? Mr. Woolman?
Yeah. Just, again, try to bring things to people's attention.
Yeah. All right, so I say we go to the next step, 100%.
Great, okay.
That's not really a motion.
Nope, no motions needed.
This was a conversation.
Just kind
Yeah,
of
good deal.
direction towards us, and now we'll prepare a draft that shows all the tables will be shown in like red text.
Yeah.
And then all the strike-through text will be shown in strike-through text, and then for our public hearing, it'll be really easy to depict, okay, what's gone, what's new, all that kind of stuff.
I like it.
Yeah,
Please make sure it's marked as draft.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very
This one
much.
should have been too.
Thank you very much on that one.
Good.
That clears up a lot of stuff, actually. So right in front of you, any more discussion on that before we proceed to correspondence? Correspondence are in front of you. Any questions or any concerns on them? It
I
looks
just
like
have
we
a
do
question.
have.
Yes, I've been waiting on this one.
Yeah, you're good.
So El Cozumel, the address they provide is 1109 South Main Street, and when you pull that up on Google Maps, it just parks you right in the middle of M24. So does, which side, where's this proposed? I just get asked a lot, that's all.
I always thought it was the east side.
East side.
Well, if it's on the east side, you got Muir Brothers Funeral Home and then Kirsten Donelin OD. Huh?
Thanks for that blue
It
house.
says 1109 South Main Street, which is the address provided.
I think Google Maps is off.
Isn't it the property that butts up to the drive, that the gravel drive, here's the school building or bank building, then the drive, then that's their proposed location.
So is it where there's a couple of houses that are?
No, it's all, there was an empty lot right there.
Yeah.
So let's,
I think
like,
it's
send
the
an
blue
email
house.
out to everybody with the exact location, so we don't sit here and
Oh.
guess about it.
Yeah.
But, for what it's worth, addresses are kind of messed up throughout the entire county.
Okay. Because it's right in the middle of M24.
Which, I wonder where Google Maps gets their information from, because while I'm looking for houses, I'll put an address in, and then I'll end up in the middle of the woods somewhere, and I'm like, that's not right. But yeah, so, Mr. Keller, could you send an email
Yeah.
very specifically pointing out where it's at?
Yeah,
But just so you know, it gets worse when you go to the southern states.
Southern states? Well, in Oakland County, it's
Yes.
not a problem.
The parcel numbers are in there.
we'll send, exactly right, we'll find the parcel number, we'll send you an image of it on County GIS, and then it'll be quick.
Yeah, no problem. We'll get that one taken care of there, Mr. Roberts. Any more discussion on the correspondence? All right, now back to the training.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
So we got a quick, pretty short turnaround till our next planning commission meeting. Our next planning commission meeting is a week after the 4th. It's gonna sneak up on us real fast. So between now and then, there's a really great training coming up on June 25th that I know I'm gonna do. I think Amy's also already signed up for it. And the title of it is Use by Right and Administrative Approvals Webinar. So I know that that's something that we might want to move a little bit closer towards in the city, is looking for more administrative approvals and less cumbersome site plan reviews.
Yes.
So I'm going to be all over that training, and I invite you all to do it as well. If you come to this link, planningmi.org, it's very easy to just punch that in and then navigate to a page that allows you to sign up for these trainings. And this is great because it's already online.
I'm also attending that training if anybody wants to, join me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, one thing that I could do moving forward for you all is, most months I'll attend at least one. I could present a short summary of some trainings that I do. Instead of, I know we always just get to this slide and then we always just look up what trainings are coming up next and we throw them on the screen and talk to you all about them. Might be more productive if our row staff is constantly in trainings. So maybe we could just, if we spend just a few minutes on, presenting on a topic so you all don't have to sit through a 2-hour training, maybe that would be valuable.
That'd be very valuable.
Great, okay.
Yes, if you want to take that task on,
Yeah.
we will accept it.
Yep. All right.
Especially on the long meeting nights.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You're good.
Yeah.
I appreciate that offer. That's actually that's a very good thing. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
All right, anything more on training? I think we had actually a training session last night. A lot of us attended. So. Okay, now to commissioner comments. Commissioner Johnson.
I'm all set.
Commissioner Brady.
No comment.
Commissioner Pattison.
I shall miss talking about earth tones.
Yeah, right.
Because we're fighting words, aren't they?
Commissioner Atwood.
I'm all set tonight, thank you.
Commissioner Bossick.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, Vice Chair Roberts.
I don't ever want to talk about earth tones.
What's an earth tone?
What is an earth tone?
We're going down the rabbit hole here. Mayor Markwart.
I'm good. No comments this evening.
City Manager Womack.
Yeah, and I will continue the trend, no comment tonight, thank you.
Well, I'm gonna go on forever. We're still here. So. No, thank you very much. Very nice meeting you, Mr. Keller. And thank you for that idea about the training. That actually goes really far with me. I like that idea a lot.
Glad to hear it.
And no comments. German. I finally did it. Right. The German part.
You did great.
I declare adjourned.
Oh, man, I missed 2 words. Come on. No, I don't want to do that.
How to like make it so I can like hear the.
I know I put that in front of you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go down to the bottom, go to apps.
Sure do. Yep. 2 days a week here, 3 days a week over there.
The funny part about
My cell's on there.
I didn't realize they brought up all
This is where I'm gonna get stuck.
No, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, hey, I wanted to tell you, I really gravitate towards the way you
That's a
spoken clearly.
And then what they're building is a.
You keep doing that, obviously, and I'm not saying Alex did, but we had styles and different styles. And for me, that is leading, it is taking me somewhere so I understand it, because I think that's what our biggest issue is.